Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We are currently studying the Holy Scripture Mysticism of Ramayana. Commentaries by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on Sundarkand, and yesterday we had studied the Hanuman and his meeting with Vibhishana. So let us see the mystical meaning today. In order to appreciate the role of Vibhishana in the Ramayana, it is necessary to have insight into the three gunas which alternate in the mind that is caught in the world of Maya or cosmic illusion. These gunas are Sattva, which is purity, Rajas, activity, and Tamas, inertia. So when there is Sattva, one's mind becomes relaxed, healthy, and joyous. In the serenity of such a mind, all that is best within the human personality begins to unfold. When Rajas enters the mind, one becomes restless, tense, and distracted. When there is Tamas, one becomes dull, melancholy, and extremely negative. Such a mind becomes the source of the greatest evils in the world. These three gunas operate through one's mind day by day, causing delusion and bondage as they constantly come and go. It is easy to see how Rajas and Tamas could delude an individual. But what about Sattva? To better understand how Sattva binds, consider the following example. Suppose you go to Hawaii for a relaxing vacation. So you sit by the ocean and Sattva enters your mind and you feel great joy and peace. But as the joy begins to fade, you start to think, if I were to stay in Hawaii and buy this property by the ocean, I would be able to enjoy this happiness every day. With that in mind, you buy the property, start making heavy mortgage payments, and get involved in construction projects. Then, each time you sit down to relax on your property, you find that you are burdened with problems and happiness has disappeared. Your misery is due to the fact that Sattva entered your personality for just a short time and tricked you into believing that happiness came from that object that you were enjoying at the moment. Sattva came in like a melody carried by the breeze, and by the time you clung to the objects around you, Sattva was gone, and so was your joy. If Sattva comes only now and then, once a week, once a month, once a year, once in a blue moon, it creates delusion and karmic obstacles and puts you in bondage. Therefore, as Lord Krishna points out in the Bhagavad Gita, the task before an aspirant is to make Sattva stay longer and longer until it becomes the predominating feature of his personality. When that happens, one realizes happiness always comes from within me. It is my very nature. Thus I can be happy anywhere, under all circumstances, under all conditions. So Sattva plays a double role. It is a demon when it comes to visit your personality only for a short time. And it becomes divine when it comes to abide in your personality as a permanent resident. When Sattva becomes a loyal friend and comes to stay, it helps your soul attain the goal of life by dominating Rajas and Tamas. It encourages you to intensify your sadhana until ignorance itself is defeated and all the gunas, including Sattva itself, are transcended forever. In the Ramayana, these three gunas are represented by the three demon brothers, Vibhishana, Kumbhakarna, and Ravana. Vibhishana is Sattva predominating ignorance. Kumbhakarna, who sleeps for 6 months and only wakes up for 1 day, is Tamas predominated ignorance. And Ravana is Rajas predominating ignorance, or ignorance that is active. So long as the Sattva operating in the human mind is subservient to Rajas and Tamas, it goes on creating karmic entanglements. So long as Sattva does not link itself with God, it binds. In the course of spiritual movement, therefore, the soul must befriend Sattva and enlist its help in fighting against Rajas and Tamas. Similarly, as long as Vibhishana remained associated with Ravana and Kumbhakarna, He was also considered demoniac, and the three brothers could not have been easily defeated. However, Hanuman befriends Vibhishana and begins to draw him away from his demon brothers. Taking advantage of Vibhishana's insight, Hanuman and then eventually Rama use this friendship to outwit and destroy the demons of Lanka. Let's move to the next episode. Hanuman finds Sita in the Ashoka grove. Following Vibhishana's instructions, Hanuman again assumed a small size and entered the Ashoka grove. There he beheld Sita with her head bent down, absorbed in meditation on Rama. She had become emaciated due to grief, and her hair had become matted. Seeing Sita in that miserable condition, Hanuman felt great pain within his heart. While Hanuman was hiding behind some branches, thinking how he should approach Sita, Ravana appeared. He was accompanied by many of his queens and royal officers. As he had done so many times before, Ravana tried to persuade Sita to become his queen, but to no avail. Sita merely taunted and insulted him. Infuriated, Rama drew his sword and threatened Sita with death. However, Mandodari, the chief queen of Ravana, stopped him, and Ravana strode off, instructing his demonesses to continue torturing Sita to make her agree to marry him in a month or else face certain death. Thinking about the deadline Ravana had given her, Sita was overcome by grief. She searched in despair for fire so that she could bring about her own death. Seeing all this, Hanuman decided that this was the moment to make his presence known. So he dropped Rama's ring, which flashed like fire as it fell into Sita's hands. Sita recognized the ring immediately, but wondered in amazement how it could have gotten to that place. Hanuman, who was still hidden, then began to speak in melodious tones as if the breeze itself was carrying the messages of Rama. Hearing that mysterious voice tell the story of Rama's life, Sita became deeply attentive. Hanuman then came out of hiding and appeared before her, saying, "O mother, I am a messenger of Rama. I have brought this ring that Rama gave me as proof that I speak the truth." As Hanuman then explained more about Rama's adventures in Kishkinda with Sugriva, Sita developed faith in Hanuman. Filled with sorrow, mingled with hope, she said, "O child, tell me, does Rama ever remember me? Will I ever be able to behold his wondrous form again?" Seeing Sita so agitated, Hanuman said with great sweetness and humility, "O mother, Rama and his brother are both well, but they are miserable because you are not there. Do not think that Rama has forgotten you. All these demons are soon going to be vanquished by Rama and with the help of his army of monkeys and bears, and you will be reunited with him once again." When Sita heard Hanuman speak about the army of monkeys, she said, "O Hanuman, are all the Rama's soldiers small like you? Don't you realize that these demons are skilled soldiers and mighty personalities? How can Rama possibly conquer these terrible demons with the help of mere monkeys and bears?" Because she saw Hanuman's small size when he had the capacity to grow as big or as small as possible. So she saw him when he was in his tiny form. To allay Sita's doubts, Hanuman immediately assumed his gigantic, majestic form and stood before Sita like a great mountain of gold. When Sita saw that form, she felt relieved and developed faith in his promise that she would soon be rescued. With immense joy, she blessed Hanuman with unparalleled devotion to Rama. Hanuman then again assumed his small size and said, "O mother, I feel terribly hungry now. Will you permit me to go and eat the wonderful fruits in the royal garden and satisfy my hunger?" Confident of Hanuman's intelligence and strength, Sita granted him permission to eat to his heart's content. So we will continue this satsang journey tomorrow. Om Tat Sat.